It is great to see you here. We've got a great lineup tonight. We're in 3 halves, which is a sort of tradition with my spoken word events here. So you'll see a couple of acts. We'll have a brief intermission when you can do some things with your pens and cards. And then there'll be 2 more, and then another intermission, so you get a chance to go to the loo and buy drinks and buy books or whatever it is. But we're going to have great fun. We've got a great range. In putting these events together, I've wanted to do things that will give us a good night out together, so I can't wait to hear what my friends are up to, but also to explore some of the things. For example, like, is writing poetry and writing songs, are those 2 things very different? What's the crossover? What does an actor do when they're given poems? How do you make a point about life and do it in poetry without a snarl but with a smile? All of those are sort of questions that will be answered tonight. The last time I was on this stage was about a month ago. I was given the task of doing 20 minutes on society, so that rather focused it down. So tonight I've gone to the light-hearted sort of part of my canon. I'd like to welcome my first guest. I said it's an evening of friends. It's lovely to be able to say that. People sometimes say that up front anyway, and then they say, who's your name again? But it's great to have everyone here tonight, people that I know and have spent some time with. And the first one is someone who, my first words I ever spoke to him, having done about 2 months' worth of blokes grunting when you pass each other walking dogs, I then said, excuse me, mate, I hope you don't mind me asking, but did you used to play rugby? And he looked at me and said, yes, how do you know that? I said, it's because of the way you kick your ball for the dog, you put torpedo spin on it. And that was the beginning. That's how blokes become friends. And we've been friends ever since. We've shared a household, we've done all sorts of things, we've written. His name is Richard Broadbent. He comes from Bristol, he works sometimes in London, he writes on screenplays, and today, for his first time ever, outside his comfort zone, he's also going to do some performance of poetry. Richard Broadbent!
Very much. Please remember my torpedo spin.
I spotted it. See, I noticed these things. I'm someone who notices these things. I wrote a poem once that began, today I took my smile for a walk along the cliff top and down onto the beach. And that was one of those days. Richard, part of you agreeing to do this, and I'm so glad that the elbow's been fixed again since being dislocated, was that I wanted to encourage other people, perhaps who have written a bit of poetry, but have never been able or given a chance to get up here. And you said yes, and then how did you feel after you'd said yes?
Well, I immediately regretted it, and I still do. However, you caught me on an odd moment not an odd moment, I'd just finished a bottle of wine, and I thought, May? That's ages away, and maybe I'll be dead by then or something. But anyway, here I am, and I'll do my best.
Well, we decided we'd do a 2-hander. Later on, I'm going to have the chance to hear someone else perform some of my poetry, but I get the chance to perform some of Richard's. And most of us, when we first say, oh, I'm a poet, I've written some poetry, we don't believe it. We think there's going to be a sign or a shout from the sky saying, poser, no, he's not. I'm going to read your first poem, Dew. Dew. The dew told the dawn of the path we took, over the fields to blindfolded brook. The sun painted the sky a blushing rose, and those of us who chose to gather there were moved to prayer as the blackbird sung, our day had begun. Caught by rain that came quick as a thought, we sheltered under mother trees, touched and felt and saw and smelt, and heard the word, whispered through rustling leaves. Out we strode into our world, hand in hand, boy and girl. Hot we lay, side by side, watched clouds play in psychedelic skies. And then we kissed, dewdrops on your vermilion lips. Now, mate, I'm not going to muck around because I've said we haven't scripted this thing, but I've been quite surprised at the poems you sent through to me, because I know you wouldn't describe yourself especially as a religious person, but there's more religious. I read that and I thought, well, it's a bit Garden of Eden, but I quite like the idea of Adam and Eve lying hot or side by side, having a slightly psychedelic experience. But what influenced you in writing that?
Well, I think I think a lot of prayer. I think more prayers are said on hospital beds than in church pews. And even though I've always professed to be an atheist, like a lot of prayers are said, like I say, at strange times, especially 3 o'clock in the morning when I probably wrote that.
Right.
But,
How long ago did you write it?
Sorry?
How long ago did you write that?
Oh, a couple of years ago, I think.
Right.
But that's more of a kind of Paradise Lost kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Well, listen, some people ticked the picture I put up of you with the guitar and the sort of smart, Sergeant Pepper jacket. I suppose one of my sisters clearly fancies Richard.
Oh.
And I discovered, I don't think she realised that I'd seen what she ticked. But this next one struck me as this could easily be a song, 'cause I know you're a musician and you do write songs. But you're going to do Counting Crows?
Yes, Counting Crows. I count myself amongst those crows who've sat and stared through stained windows and watched the passing footstep years, who's cried kettles of hot tears, who dared not, cared, hoped nor spared a thought for now or how to get through to another dawn, to wake and wish one had not been born. I count myself amongst those crows who've lied amongst the bones of those who died and hide in death's shadow, gone but not gone to stay, who passed away but won't go away. These ghosts, the ghosts of ghosts, their voices distinct, dry and cold. How long until tomorrow blows? I count myself amongst those crows, who knows the thorn beneath the blood-stained rose, who's listened to the bells of time, the sinking ship of the leaking mind, who staggers over a seasick floor, through a door, into a corridor, over bottles and cans and dead poets' hands, to where a mirror hanging scares the man, the crow, reflected there in shadows.
I think, like lots of us, when there's that sort of slight, I've delivered it and I don't know what you're going to make of that type look on your face. And it's hard. I think that's one of the things that anyone, I know there's others from the other creative disciplines here, I think that battling our inner sort of question mark and is this really any good is quite hard. And you're one of, among a number of my mates who, like me, share a love of sort of sports and stuff like that, and maybe over the years have had to battle a slightly sort of macho thing either put on us or from within us. And you admitting you were into poetry and stuff, it seemed like sort of quite a thing, but they say, don't they, write about what you know, write poetry about what you feel, but I mean, because you write screenplays more, where does the sort of feelings and stuff come from? What's influenced your poetry?
As you can probably guess, most of this is from kind of writing in bereavement, really. So I think it was Hemingway who said, write about what hurts.
Wow.
And well, I guess I try to do that. But I think I have written some lighter stuff.
Well, over the years, I've heard people start. We often write from the broken heart, the bereavement, the disappointment, and it's almost like therapy. And then it broadens out, and then we find ourselves writing about other stuff.
Well, it certainly helps, and I think it's good to get your thoughts down, and it's a challenge to speak, to you people tonight, really. So,
I mean, it's that thing, everyone walks their own road, but those roads are often parallel. I'm going to read this poem that when you first gave it to me, moved me a lot, and I know that part of your sort of hesitation about thing was whether we're going to well up too much. It's called The Way That You Lay. Richard spent a lot of his life in Spain. He's even managed a football team with the amazing Johan Cruyff in. That is true. Talk to him over a drink later. Not a lot of people can say that. Ask him what the tactics board looked like on the first time he had Cruyff playing his team in Sitges. It's worth it. Whatever drink you buy him, get it. This is the way that you lay. Que poco duele todo cuando te tengo al lado. How little anything hurts when you're at my side. I awoke. It was night. Dark, no light. A bad dream with mad faces, hid in shadowy places, waiting. I heard your breathing, soft, warm and pleasing. I saw the shape of you there, sensed your heartbeat, your skin and your hair. It was the way that you lay. I felt blessed, not afraid, thanked my stars and smiled at the dark. I promised to be, oh so faithfully, a better man. I wanted to hold you, but didn't wish to wake, so lay quiet as the night, waiting for light, which was strange, in a way. It was the way that you lay. Strange, because I lay alone. Que poco duele todo cuando te tengo al lado. How little anything hurts when you are at my side.
Lovely Spanish there.
Knowing my luck, I probably ordered a hot dog and a sausage.
It was
Wow.
very moving. Thank you. Yes.
After the storm.
After the storm?
What's the storm here, Rich?
Well, to be honest, I think the storm's kind of. I think they said I had reactive depression. So, depression. Anyway, after the storm. After the storm has passed, silence sits like an owl in the darkness, smugly calm. After the storm has passed. My clothes hang frozen on the washing line, like parts of me woven, like friends of mine, older and colder now. My sight, once blurred by tears unheard, returns and I turn, but my steps run sure. Can I pass through this door? Fear is a pussycat's worrier worm, burrowing thoughts, clawing denial. Accept the unacceptable, be calm for a little while. Yes, I remember now. I must have been dreaming without thinking. I must have left them just there, tartan slippers under the chair, now that the storm has passed.
I think when you write from a deep place and you're prepared to share that, I think sometimes I've, both your own work and other people's, I've almost been hesitant to clap because you feel slightly there's an element of going on privileged, almost hallowed ground. And this next poem is called Nearly There. I remember, we've been friends some years now, we've shared a household and a happy household as a crowd, and I remember you, I think, writing this. Sometime, I know you've been on some sort of course that you spoke very highly of, but also too you've done a climb up in
That's
Peak,
right, yeah,
Peak
yeah.
District, is it, that you've come from? Or?
Yeah, it was up in the Peak District back in my hometown, yes. So it was quite evocative moment.
It's called Nearly There. I'm nearly there now. I can see the summit through parting clouds. I shall stop and rest where as a boy I ran. I look down and watch as an insect climbs a blade of grass. I see things differently nowadays. I shall stop and rest where as a boy I ran. The shadow of a hawk attracts my eye. I see things differently nowadays. I think of a boy I used to know. The shadow of a hawk attracts my eye. I have no fear of what will come next. I think of a boy I used to know. Rain patterns my face, refreshing. I have no fear of what will come next. I look down and watch as an insect climbs a blade of grass. Rain patterns my face, refreshing. I'm nearly there now. I can see the summit through parting clouds. And talking of clouds,
Yes, we have a lot of clouds this evening. Yes, this one's called Kathy's Clouds. Actually, it's Paul's wife, who is a very good painter, and I think you're quite a specialist in clouds, aren't you? Really? Well, certainly seascapes with clouds, and I've stayed with Paul and Kathy many times. They have a part of their house which is it's almost like a bit of a refugee camp, really, for waifs and strays, such as me. And anyway, we've had some nice times there, and eaten lots of flapjacks, which is also Kathy's speciality. So she was showing me these lovely pictures of these clouds, and we were talking. It was almost like a subtext, if you like. Anyway, Kathy's Clouds. Kathy's clouds drift across an exquisitely painted sky, above a playful sea in a hazy summer breeze. And in the distance there lies a lonesome shore, where I can picture myself waving. But a storm is coming in. I can sense it on my skin, a gentle touch of paper to brush, and the clouds weep and the seagulls cry, and I could die there, washed away with one stroke of her brush. She says the picture will change in time. I'm not sure I can. I've accepted things as they are, but perhaps that's what she means. Change must change everything. And so I'll wait a little longer and watch the sky fill with colour and the sea grow calm like a mirror underneath Kathy's clouds.
I'm a great believer that creativity spawns creativity. It's like a spark, in a sort of wildfire. So working backwards, you saw Kathy's picture taking shape. It created something in you, and the person who taught Kathy to paint those lovely clouds is here tonight, and his creativity then spawns that. So I love seeing that chain of stuff. For me, that's one of the best things about being part of the creative world. You'll have to see if you can spot who the artist is. And the last of Richard's poems in this opening set is probably the shortest. For me, it was the biggest surprise. He's already told us he's not the Archbishop of Canterbury, and it's called It Was I. It Was I. Oh, my Saviour, my mother, my father, my brother, my sister, my lover. It was I, dear Lord, that cooked the Last Supper.